What's up, you guys? It's your girl LT here, back with another video. What's up, you guys? It's your girl LT here, back with another video. So today, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl LT here, back with another video. And today I'm interviewing the amazing Dane REID. He is a traveler, he is an international voice actor, and he's also a child-free author. So I wanted to do an interview with him just to get his viewpoints about being child-free, his upbringing, and so forth. And I am so happy to be interviewing him today. So Dane, welcome to my channel.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me on. The first things that I want to say is that I watch your channel, right? So it's not just like, oh, I'm just here. No, like I watch your channel. I see all your posts on YouTube, and I love what you're doing, which is how we ended up conversing about this. And it's pretty awesome. So if you're watching this channel, make sure to get those subscribes. Don't just watch, subscribe to this channel.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Especially if you love child-free content.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, first and foremost, you contacted me regarding being child-free, and also you have a book out, which of course is titled Forget Having Kids, I'm Having Fun, 1,000 Random Reasons Why You Choose to Be Child-Free. So here's a cover of it as well. A good view.
That's right. Here, let's see if my camera gets a nice view of it. Yeah, I wrote this book I finished with it last year, towards the end of the pandemic, and I basically was inspired by the pandemic and the way that my life was going and the way the parents' lives were going. And it was frustrating for everybody, but I knew that I had less stress than people who were, who had 2 kids and were trying to educate them and stuff like that, keep them safe. And, and I realized that throughout my life, I have had some hard stuff happen to me, but I've also had a lot of fun and done some things that I know some of my parent friends haven't done and they wish they did, get a chance to do. So yeah, I wrote this book, Forget Having Kids, I'm Having Fun, 1,000 Random Reasons I Chose to Be Child-Free.
Yes, absolutely. When I first read the book, well, first of all, the title alone was what hooked me. When you first reached out to me, and you're like, hey, LT, I got this book out here. I want you to read it. I ordered it off of Amazon, which I'm gonna put the information in the description down below as well for you to get yourselves get you guys a copy as well. The title alone just really hooked me. And I was like, let me see what this guy's about. So first of all, getting a man's perspective on being child-free was just so refreshing. And to see that you were a Black man, of course, being child-free, I was even more intrigued.
What's even crazier, going very much against my culture, I'm also a Jamaican man. So that, that's unheard of in our culture. Like, what? You don't have no picnic, you don't have any kids. That's like crazy in my culture. But yeah, listen, it's all about making great decisions for yourself, right? So what works for me may not work for other people. What works for me may work for other people, but they don't know it yet. And so I think it's important to introduce this concept to that conversation so that we can all talk about it. When you get married, you get marriage counseling, and you have to get a marriage license. When you have kids, you just, you know what I mean? You're just laid out. We're pregnant. You know what I mean? No counseling, no license. Nobody tells you how hard it is. No one tells you about the sleepless nights and struggling to get to work in the morning, how much childcare costs, et cetera, et cetera. No one counsels you. And so let's have a realistic yet fun conversation. You talked about the title of my book. People judge a book by its cover. And so I put a lot of energy and effort and thought into this cover, Forget Having Kids, I'm Having Fun, because it tells a story just from the title. And what a lot of people don't realize too is the title is Forget, but when you look at the title, I don't know if you can see, you see the O-R-G-E-T crossed out and just the F left. So it's really
right.
like
Like
It's
F
really,
having kids.
yeah, I'm having, so from the moment that you look at the cover of the book, I'm having fun with you.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
having fun with you. And there are a lot of little hidden things in this book, a lot of double entendres, playing with words and playing with pop cultural references and things like that. And I'm having fun with people, but also talking about something that's probably the biggest decision that you could make for yourself, your partner, and then for a life that ultimately knew nothing about all of this stuff that we're doing, right? You
Mhm.
made the decision for that being, and that decision has to be a good, sound, smart, thoughtful decision. And so while I'm having fun, it's also about let's think about this. Let's put some thought into this.
Yes, absolutely. And then you mentioned earlier that what made you even write a book about being child free was that, during COVID and the pandemic and everything was going on with parents trying to, homeschool their children and do whatever they need to do. And the kids were home more and all that kind of stuff. They had to really be more hands on. And I bet, and a lot of parents were talking about how, oh my God, I can't wait for these kids to go back to school. So, yeah, so I just like being here where I'm located at, so here in Florida, is just the school system here, it was absolutely crazy how some of these parents were handling their situation. And I'm just like, I give them my hats off to them. It's like I couldn't handle all that stress. I mean, kudos to them
No,
for sure.
no, I can't. I can't handle the stress of figuring out what I'm gonna have for dinner later. So it's where am I gonna? How am I gonna educate these kids and all that other stuff? That's too much for me. And I do take my hat off on for parents. I absolutely do.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of childhood, you did mention your childhood in the book. You talk about how tough it was growing up in New York and how just dealing with certain issues during your upbringing. I'm not gonna go into too much detail, but you did mention about almost being kidnapped and that, and also being being choked by the police.
Yeah.
How was has those experiences in your childhood did that really have a major impact in your decision to be child free? Like you don't want to have a child to maybe go through that in the future?
Yeah. So, look, and I know your channel definitely attracts a lot of African Americans, and we have a story in this country that's different from the story of others.
Mhm,
And I dealt with the police harassing me all the time just because of my hue.
mhm,
I wasn't a kid who did anything illegal.
mhm,
To this day, I've never, and I'm in my mid 40s, to this day, I've never even smoked marijuana. I
mhm,
haven't had a drink in years, right?
mhm,
So I'm a pretty squeaky clean guy.
mhm,
Not boring, but squeaky clean, right?
mhm,
And I've been like this pretty much like this since I was a young kid.
mhm,
And but the New York City Police Department had a policy of stop and frisk. So anyone of my hue, they
mhm,
stopped and frisked. And when I asked questions, because I was aware of my rights, I was assaulted.
mhm,
And I've been through a lot because of my color.
mhm,
I would not, it's just one reason I wouldn't want to subject a young person
mhm,
to the kinds of things that I have dealt with. It's just one of racism is one thing, violence is another, but just dealing with the stresses of life. As you said, someone tried to kidnap me when I was 11 years old in front of my own house, right?
mhm,
I don't want to have those conversations with my kid on what to do if you're walking home and some strange man is watching you in the car. That's
mhm,
just, you know, that's 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 hard as a parent knowing that you can't be there to put the gloves on for your kid at all times,
mhm,
and certainly I think a lot of parents don't want to have those conversations, but those things are stressful for a young person. I was a very, very stressed young person,
mhm,
and I decided as an adult that I didn't want to be so stressed. So I look for those things in life that bring me joy. Humor brings me joy. Writing brings me joy. Sharing my story with not only child-free people, but parents as well, because parents seem to really kind of enjoy this. You know, some of them were like, "Ah, man, I wish you had told me about this 15 years ago." You know, I mean, you know, we can all have fun and we can all have joy. But we also have to be very realistic about what it takes just to survive in life. And so when you bring a person into life, you not only have to protect them while they're young and nurture them while they're young, but one day they're an adult too, and we can't forget about adults just because they're no longer children, right? And we do. And then there's the stresses of being grown, that nasty boss who keeps yelling at you and talking, you know, all kinds of shit about you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Life has so many rewards, and I'll never take that away. But each individual has to decide whether the rewards are greater than the things that are detrimental to us, from our physical and mental health. So, you know, I made a bold decision that that you've made and that so many other people made. 44% of people between 18 and 49 are now claiming that they'll never have children. Presently, it's 20% of all adults who don't have children and growing. And all I can say is welcome to our community. Welcome to the community of people who made individual, thoughtful decisions for themselves, their partners, and ultimately for unborn children who know nothing about this.
Definitely. That's such a great perspective. You mentioned that in the book as well about your relationship, your good relationship with your parents, and how they kind of secretly wanted you to have children. So how does your family react now? Your family and your friends react to you being child-free?
So my parents wanting me to have children was a secret, right? It was never one of those things like, when are you having kids? You know, they didn't harass me about it. But you know your parents, right? You know, in the back of their heads, they're romanticizing, you know, playing with the grandkids, giving them a sugar high, and then sending them home with you and being like, ha ha ha, right? Like the joke's on you, right? Like, because they spoil them in a way that you absolutely are not going to keep up with, in terms of treating your kids the same way. They do that as kind of like a revenge, I'm sure of it, okay? Because they know what it's like being a parent. They know how hard it is. But I think secretly parents do that to their kids, kind of like a revenge thing. Like, remember that time you wouldn't sit down and I told you to, right? So this is your punishment, right? So you know how it feels. But yeah, my parents are supportive. My dad has a bookstore in Florida, in Metro Orlando, right? And he sells my book. My dad sells my book, and he's proud of it. He was interviewed on the news, and he showed the news my book. So my dad gets it now. I just talked to him about, I want to say maybe like half an hour ago. I was talking to my dad riding home, and yeah, we were talking about the book as well, because he's down there and he's selling copies. People are walking up to him. He doesn't even have to sell it. They just grab it and they say, I want this book.
For sure.
Because you know, the cover and the title, as you said, you know, hooks people's attention. I think my friends have always known that I'm a guy who walks to a different beat, right? So they don't, you know, engage me in a negative way about having kids. Some of them are like, yeah, you did the right thing. A lot of them are like, yeah, you did the right thing. You know, this is not for the faint of heart, right? Like, you know, I never romanticized having kids, and they gave me enough confirmation. As you see, I talk about some of my friends in the book. I talk about Mike. Mike and I came back from El Salvador the other day. But it was easy for me because I didn't have to get a babysitter. You know, Mike had to get a babysitter, right?
Yeah.
So while my whole cost may have been $500, Mike had to pay for babysitting for 5 days. You know, that's just not something that I got to do. You know, but yeah, you know, I celebrate the decisions that my friends make, if it makes them happy, and they love and respect me and respect my mind, and so they celebrate the decisions that I make as well. And I think that's what's missing in these conversations and in so many other conversations. We need to appreciate and respect and celebrate the decisions, whatever they may be. You know, if I don't eat ice cream, my friends do. I don't want, stomach issues because, I'm eating ice cream, but they don't have those problems. So rock on with your rocky road. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, but don't force me to eat ice cream, because if you do, I'm gonna trap you in a closed room.
Oh gosh.
And you're gonna regret it.
Oh no. Oh my goodness. See, it's so great to have parents that can understand and can respect your decision. It's so great to have that support. So that's so awesome. How, and speaking of your friends, like your male friends, how have other men reacted to your book about you not having kids? Like your circle of, I guess, your male friends, have they really said anything, or they're like, oh, I'm kind of jealous of your life about being child free? Like, how have they, like the male friends, reacted, or have been pretty much everybody the same way?
I don't think my male friends are necessarily jealous. I have had some who said that they were a bit envious of my freedom. I'm going to tell you something really interesting, and some of it has been from people that I know, but people who I've met in this journey of writing and putting out this book. I've had men and women who admitted to me that the only reason why they stay in their relationships is because they have a child with their partner. And if it weren't for the child, they would be out. And that's not a way to live, if you ask me. I wouldn't want to be trapped in that kind of scenario. But again, you have to make a decision on what's best for your life. And if you're really rewarded by being a dad, by being a mom, so much that you can tolerate a loveless relationship, then, have at it, Hoss. I mean, just have at it. For me and mine, there will be no mine, right? There will be me, there will be a partner in my life, and there will be love, and there will be voluntary interest in the relationship, but not forced. So, but yeah, so people have admitted to me that they're not happy in their relationships, and some of them have really seemed down about it.
Yeah. And in one of my videos, and one of the top reasons why I did not want to have any children was that I wanted to make my relationship or marriage a priority. Because I see that as well, that I see that people are only together. You can tell the way that they talk to their kids, they talk to each other. It's like you're only together because you only have a child. So that's one of the reasons as well. So it's like, or I didn't want to possibly be a single parent. That's another reason why as well, with if the relationship did not work out. So, it's so great to have that that mindset of, what, I want to go ahead and not have to deal with this situation in case, if, like you mentioned, parents, if they want to get out, they can have a clean, easy break. And that's also one of the chapters you mentioned in the book, about having that clean break in case relationships don't last. So yeah. So
oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So one of my chapters is about that. It talks about the things that happen to men. And then one of my friends who was in an abusive relationship, she wrote about having to decide to leave her children's father, and how hard that was, even though he was beating on her, but she had 2 kids, and that was hard to say, okay, they have a dad, but now they're not going to have a dad, and I got to get some money and to be able to get out of this situation. But if it were just her at the time, it would have been a lot easier to just be like, peace, man, you're not going to hit on me,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You also mentioned in your book that you had a procedure done to prevent you from, of course, having children. Can you please go over your experience with that? Like, how did the doctor respond to you? And was it the process difficult? Was it easy? How did that whole procedure go?
So it was easier than getting a gun in America. Um,
Mhm.
and you know how easy that is, right?
Right.
Um, it was, listen, the doctor had done 20,000 procedures. He had a sign up in his office about how he was, he bragged of being Edward Scissorhands, basically, right? He just,
Mhm.
just snipped away, right? And
Mhm.
it was like a factory for him, you know? I
Mhm.
came in, I saw the guy behind me coming in as I was leaving. I mean, it was just, like this was just what he did. He
Mhm.
collected $600 and, he made a few jokes while he was doing the procedure. And it was a bit uncomfortable at the moment,
Mhm.
but once he was done, I went home and I was fine, right?
Mhm.
Men worry a lot about whether or not they're going to be able to use their manhood in the same capacity, right?
Mhm.
And so what I say to them is if it didn't work before, then it's not going to work now. But if it
Mhm.
was working perfectly fine, it's not the doctor who broke it when he finished the procedure, right? Like
Right.
you did
Mhm. Yeah, exactly.
you did that, so, buddy. There was something wrong with it before, and you just didn't know,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So,
Um, So do you think that that women that who want to have the sterilization face pushback? Because I'm reading a lot of stuff online lately about guys are getting vasectomies or or whatever procedure that they're getting. They're getting it a lot more younger now, like in their mid to late
yeah.
20s. They're getting it a lot younger now. And but do you think as far as women getting whatever procedure they need to get, do you think that it's kind of like they get so much pushback? Like, why do you think that is?
So, throughout my book, I talk about the differences between men and women, and how we're treated, how women are treated. What you see is a consistent theme of how I think about things. I think about everyone as being equal. So to me, that means everyone has equal rights and everyone should have equal protection. And I
Mhm.
mean that, right? That
Mhm.
I don't see a difference between people.
Mhm.
And so if I'm allowed to walk into a clinic and in 15 minutes, without the doctor ever knowing me or consulting with me, able to have a procedure that permanently stops me from having children, I see no reason why a doctor should have a whole conversation and be able to deny the rights of women to do the same. We are of equal competence.
Mhm.
We are of equal adulthood. And
Mhm.
so we should be all treated the same.
Absolutely, I totally agree. Um, let's see. I'm sorry. My next question. So how do you respond to people that think that there's something wrong with you, or they tend to maybe question your sexuality because you don't have children or you don't want children?
Yeah, so if you question my sexuality, you obviously don't know my record.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
you know, listen, check my track record. You know what I'm saying? If you need references, I'll mail them to you. I mean, listen, I am a heterosexual man.
Hmm.
I have probably loved women since I was in the womb myself.
Hmm.
Okay. And so for anyone to doubt that, then it's hilarious. But
Hmm.
I think a lot of people look for things to insult people with when they feel insulted.
Hmm.
So when I say that, I'm going to eat chocolate chip cookies and they're like, they don't like chocolate chip,
Hmm.
right? They feel like it's an assault on their choice. It's
Hmm.
not. I just like chocolate chip, right?
Hmm.
Pick rock, buddy. You
Hmm.
know, one of the things that I see going on in the child-free community is I think when people strike back at us, we care too much.
Hmm.
Let me say right here, by
Hmm.
putting out all my business about in this book,
Hmm.
I formally declared that I don't give a shit what you think.
Absolutely.
It's like,
Absolutely.
read out, make jokes, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, just don't turn your back on me. I might snatch your girl. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my goodness.
If you think that I'm so gay, then cool, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
fine. But don't turn your back on me because you're gonna find out that it's wrong, right? Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. Exactly. So, I mean, I never really had anything with that, me personally, but you know, the whole thing with social media now, and you know, some guys are saying out there, or women who are single, don't have any kids and stuff like that, you're gonna grow old and die alone, buy a dog and die alone, and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, then I'm reading things about how women, when they get to their, well, men and women, when they get into their golden years, how a lot much more happier they are and a lot more healthier they are, not having children as well. So I actually just saw this post on Reddit just now, not just now, I'm sorry, earlier today, that this lady who works in a hospice care unit, she was talking to a 95-year-old woman who pretty much was the healthiest and happiest she's ever been. She never had kids, but she was rolling around and standing up in her wheelchair and doing things. And she's just, everybody in her area just loves and adores her. She's the most respected person there. So it's like, you can have a very fulfilled life being child free. I truly, truly believe that.
Where a guy was saying that this woman she was in her 90s and she had like her 95th birthday, and she had, I don't know, 10 kids. I don't remember the exact number, but from her 10 kids, she had like 30 grandkids. And so on her 95th birthday, all of her kids and her grandkids got together to celebrate her, right? And the person who posted it argued that look at all of these people from her that she produced who are there to celebrate her 95th birthday. And it sounds like a really great argument until you realize that at 95, she had to raise 10 kids in order to get 35 people to visit her once a year in her 95 years.
Right.
So they come around on the 90th, the 95th, the 85th, the 80th, right? And all of this time, she's spending time alone. Grandkids generally don't call their grandparents that often. Kids have their own kids and their own families, so they're focused on that. So they don't have time for 95-year-old granny. An occasional call does not make up for the 20 or 30 years that she had to sacrifice in being a parent. Whoever came up with that and agreed with it is anti-intellectual. That's not smart, okay?
Right.
She had saved what is the equivalent of $300,000 per kid. She would have had $3 million, and she could have hired 35 people to come celebrate her on her 95th birthday.
Exactly.
Still had 2,999,000 and like $50 left. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't just hire a mariachi band, you know?
I mean, yeah. Oh my gosh.
There's so much out there. But here's what I'm gonna say to the child-free community. Here's what I'm gonna say to anyone who hasn't had a child yet and you're thinking about it. Don't do this. Don't listen to this. Your decision should not be made, and your life should not be governed by debate or democracy, right? No one gets a vote or a say in your decision. That's it. So all that noise that's coming from all over the place, yeah, just throw your headphones on. Just keep walking.
Absolutely. Yes.
Exactly.
Throughout the book, you also talk about extensively about traveling, which is definitely a great benefit for me as well. It's another reason why I love being child free, is that I love to travel. You even have a chapter discussing how your parents often envy you globetrotting and stuff like that. I guess they're a little envious of you traveling all the time. So I guess, what other child free stereotypes do you not really fit in? Because I think another thing that people say, that people think that, oh, you're child free, that means you must be extra selfish, or things like that. So is there a child free stereotype that you don't fit in personally?
I get like some of the stereotypes. Yes, I travel. I own my own business as well. So not having to provide for other people, I was able to sacrifice some years of my own life in order to start my own business and run my own business. And I'm a professional voice actor. I produce commercials, and this year will be my 19th year in business.
Oh,
And
great.
yeah, I mean, so if my business wasn't one of my kids, it would finally be legal, like it would be an adult this year, So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's my baby,
Hmm.
and yeah, so I think that you should never be shackled to
Hmm.
anything involuntarily.
Hmm.
And I think that you should work things as long as they work, and when they don't work anymore, then you should break the chains of it.
Hmm.
And so I am a free guy.
Hmm.
Um I'm not a millionaire,
Hmm.
um, but I do some of the things that maybe some millionaires do on a really, really, really tight budget.
Hmm.
And I just want to enjoy life. So if someone, people may say, for instance, that, oh, well, you're reckless, you haven't grown up, whatever, whatever. No, what being grown up looks like
Hmm.
is examining responsibility and taking on what you can handle.
Hmm.
That's a grown up choice. A grown up choice isn't taking on something that you are not passionate about,
Hmm.
that you may be doomed to fail, that you're not prepared for.
Hmm.
And I talk extensively about my financial troubles through in my life. I filed bankruptcy at one point.
Hmm.
You know, I have failed a lot.
Hmm.
But having kids is not something that I could afford to fail. And
Hmm.
it'll set me back the rest of my life. It sets up children who will also probably be poor,
Hmm.
because if in America, if you're born into poverty, you only have a 1 in 13 chance of moving from the point that you were born to the next level. So, if your parents made, 60,000, your chances of making 70,000 are 1 in 13. It's not,
Hmm.
that's just how it is.
Hmm.
So um, I, I listen to what the stereotypes are, but at
Hmm.
the end of the day, I am thoughtful in making my decisions that
Hmm.
are right for my life and are careful not to harm anybody else.
Absolutely. And I mean, so what do you think? I think you probably just mentioned it earlier, but as far as being regretful about your decision not having children, I mean, I think you kind of went into detail about that earlier about that. So, but I wanted to see, like, can you just reiterate one more time, just like what are your thoughts about when people say, oh, you're going to regret being child free, and you're going to wish you had some kind of legacy as well, leaving here when when you leave. So it's like, how do you feel about that when people say you're going to be regretful for that?
Well, you see me on Instagram, and I take pictures of places that I go, and
Oh,
sometimes
sure.
I take pictures of like myself on the plane. And I
Hmm.
don't know if you noticed, right? Like I'm kind of crying just a little bit because I'm so regretful.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
See how depressed I look. I mean, it's horrible. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Listen, children are the worst retirement plan that you can ever come up with. Okay.
Hmm.
You put in about 300,000 right now into each child just so that you can get a phone call once in a while. That's
Hmm.
a bad
Hmm.
investment, right?
Yeah.
Uh, Generally, if those children have their own children,
Hmm.
then it's an even worse investment for you,
Hmm.
you know, because they have to invest into their children. Baby boomers right now are not being taken care of by their children.
Hmm.
They're actually having to take care of their children themselves. So
Hmm.
it's not the kids taking care of the parents. Baby boomers are having to take care of their millennial kids right now.
Hmm.
So what are we talking about? We're talking about legacy. Yeah, I have a whole chapter on legacy.
Oh
in
yes,
my book,
yeah. Chapter 19. I was
right?
just about to ask that. Yeah, I read about that.
A whole chapter on legacy. Listen, you are not remembered on this earth for your children.
Hmm.
Absolutely not. Okay.
Hmm.
You are remembered on this earth for the deeds that you do,
Hmm.
not for anybody else's. So
Hmm.
I have a chapter called Jeffrey Dahmer versus MLK.
Right.
Name Jeffrey Dahmer's parents. Nobody can name them.
Right.
We remember Jeffrey Dahmer for the bad of what he did. And if your legacy
Hmm.
if, is Jeffrey Dahmer, look what
Hmm.
a shitty legacy you have.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Hmm.
I mean, come on. I don't want somebody else to be a representation of my legacy because they may just mess it up.
Hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Albert Einstein,
Hmm.
okay, he had kids. What are his kids' names? If the kids are his legacy,
Right.
you remember the science stuff that Albert Einstein came up with, the
Right.
theory of general relativity.
Hmm.
Now, okay, so you say maybe Einstein is his parents' legacy.
Hmm.
What's their name?
I have no clue.
No, Albert Einstein is his own legacy,
Right.
and his children have to build their own legacy.
Hmm.
Adolf Hitler's parents have, I mean, if he's their legacy, oh my God, right? He's like one of the most hated people in history.
Hmm.
Okay. So, dirt on his parents' name if that's what they thought was going to be their legacy. They
Hmm.
may have done everything right,
Hmm.
right? They may have provided him with all the love in the world, and he still ended up being a shitty human being,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Right.
If you are a human being right now, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, first of all, make sure you order Forget Having Kids. I'm having fun.
Oh, absolutely. I'm gonna put the information.
Yeah. If you're watching this right now, start building your own legacy that you will be remembered for.
Hmm.
Go influence the lives of people.
Hmm.
Go help people. Go volunteer.
Hmm.
You invent something. We'll
Hmm.
always remember Steve Jobs for the iPhone,
Right.
right? You know, we'll always, like I said, we'll always remember MLK for his speeches. But the only reason why we might remember his kids, for the most part, is I
Hmm.
think one of them is named after him,
Hmm.
right? So do create something great that you'll be remembered for.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, my last question is, if you can talk to any man who may be on the fence about having kids, what type of encouragement can you tell him about living a child-free life?
I would tell him that there are things that men complain about all the time
Hmm.
that I don't have to worry about.
Hmm.
I talk about my friends who have been hauled into court
Hmm.
for issues. I talk about my brother who had a court case and won it against his daughter's mother.
Hmm.
And then she picked up and moved
Hmm.
someplace else. And then he had to basically give up because he couldn't afford to chase her down and have another set of court rounds because the first he paid about $100,000,
Hmm.
you know, in court fees and lawyer legal fees.
Hmm.
I would tell men, and I would tell women to this as well, that you have to be very, very thoughtful and understanding that you never know anybody until you see them under stress.
Hmm. Oh,
So
yes.
the idea that everything is going great right now, oh, we're so in love, da 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 da, right? In a few years, it might not be like that. You have to understand, in a few years, it might not be like that. You're gonna see this person under stress, and you might see a whole different side of this person.
Hmm.
And when you're battling back and forth, you know,
Hmm.
these are just things that I don't have to worry about. You
Hmm.
don't have to worry about.
Hmm.
And more people are deciding that they don't want to worry about and fight. They don't want to fight.
Hmm.
And so you have to be smart. you have to think about it. Can I afford this financially? How is my mental health? Can I invest as much time as necessary to raise, not to play around with on, on the floor and do all kinds of trivial stuff, not to send them to school for the teacher to educate them, but can I spend the time educating them myself, right? Can I sit down at the table doing homework with them late at night, right? Can I stay up all night while they're crying and still function in the morning going to work? Can I afford this? Have a good support system. There are a million questions that you have to ask yourself, and then you have to answer for yourself. And I encourage people to not just make a decision, but to make a thoughtful decision. And for me, that thoughtful decision led me to make the ultimate decision, which is to make no decision to do it at all. So that's what I would say to men and women,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, me personally, what I did too is that I wrote down like the pros and cons of having children, how would having kids affect the lifestyle that you have and that you want. So, and for me, I wrote down I have more cons than pros in that situation. I was like, okay, well, that's a no-brainer there. So
28 pages of cons.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, for real. So yeah, that's definitely was a no-brainer for me personally. But yeah, I'm just so glad that you did reach out to me and that I was able to read your book. I mean, like I said, it's so refreshing to have a male's perspective, and because I'm glad that more guys are actually coming out now saying, hey, or even fathers now that are coming out saying, hey, parenthood isn't what it's cracked up to be, and they're giving kudos to child-free people saying, hey, you guys did a great job of thinking about the kind of life that you wanted and know that this lifestyle was not for you. So please go ahead and cop this book. I think this is a great book to have, whether you are child-free, whether you are a parent, whether you are thinking about having children. This is such a great and refreshing book to read about getting a man's perspective on, being child-free, the pros and the cons and everything. This was such a great read. And I'm so glad you reached out to me.
Right, like it's funny. I'm not in your face. No, this is so bad. No, like we had fun in this interview. I had fun talking to you, and when you pick up my book, it's the same thing. It's like having a conversation with me, and we're just bugging out, talking about being child free, having fun, laughing at kids, laughing at parents, laughing at myself. In my child free in my life and everything, but we talk about some serious things as well. It's reading this book is like talking to your child free friend.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, definitely I hope that people get it. It's also available on audiobook because I'm a professional voice actor, so it made sense to do an audiobook. It's available on ebook and paperback at childfreebook.com. And when you get it, when you finish it, please, 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 please leave a review on Amazon. It's actually available everywhere now on Barnes and Nobles, Walmart.com, like everywhere. So definitely leave a review and tell your friends about it. And then make sure also you're subscribed to LT's channel. Like I just subscribe because I mean, I watch you anyway, right? I might as well subscribe. Right? So let's get those numbers up. Let's get those numbers up to 1,000, then 10,000. Let's get them up to 50,000. Let's get LT to quit her job so that she can be making those YouTube bucks. You know what I'm saying?
Man, hey, that's my main goal right now. So
yeah, let's do it.
Thank you so much for your time, and like I said, thank you so much for reaching out to me. I definitely have enjoyed your book, and my sister actually was looking at it as well. She's like, "Hey, let me know when you're done with that book. I want a copy too." I'm like, "Yeah, for sure."
Right.
So she's looking at it as well. So can you just tell everybody real quick if you have any upcoming projects and also where they can follow you on social media?
Yeah, you can follow me on social media for the book at Forget Having Kids, I'm Having Fun. No apostrophe between the I and the M. So just I am having fun. I'm having fun. Forget having kids, I'm having fun. You can follow me there. I post child-free stuff. And you can also follow me on my regular page, Dane_REID. You can see my travel shenanigans, and you know, let's stay in contact. Let's all have some fun. You know, let's find that joy in life. Let's find that.
Yes, yes, yes. So, well, Dane, thank you again, once again, for your time. I truly appreciate you reaching out to me and just getting this interview in. I wanted to do, I'm so grateful that you reached out to me and just were able to answer these questions about your child-free lifestyle. And, you know, just thank you once again. So I'm going to put all Dane's information down in the description box as well, where you can get his book, where you can follow him on social media. So everybody who's watching, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like child-free content like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure to comment down below. Let me know what you guys think of this interview. And until I see you guys next time, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll check you guys out in the next video. Thank you.